Two things. This video is all about front handsprings. One of you made a comment, said, Raleigh, make a video on front handsprings. So here it is. The second thing is to understand that my energy, my passion, my sense of urgency is directed towards those of you that have been coaching less than 5 years. So if you've been coaching for a while, and I'm just making an arbitrary number there, but if you've been coaching for a while, you have a system and you know how to get to high level gymnastics, just understand that my energy and my passion and my intensity is not directed towards you. You got it figured out. You understand. But for those of you that are going to side quest down different paths because you're watching YouTube videos and you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, my energy is directed towards you because I understand that you're going to waste years and years and years of your life doing things that will not get you to high level gymnastics. Because I did it. I've been coaching for over 25 years. So my energy, my intensity is in this conversation is really directed at the idea of just don't make these dumb mistakes. Don't listen to these bad ideas that are out there. And I call them bad ideas because while they may work, they're not going to get you to high level gymnastics in a way that feels effortless. What I'm going to show you is a process that will get you to high level front tumbling in a way that feels effortless, in a way that feels also that almost every athlete can learn it and it's demystifies, it's not complicated. So that's as much as I'm going to say about that. Front handsprings, you're going to learn front handspring technique, but you're also going to be able to apply it to front whips, front lays, front fronts, front lay, whatever, front twisting, all level, high level tumbling. So we're just going to dive on in and get started. And here we go. So yes, it's front handsprings, but realistically it's front tumbling. Just keep that in mind. Okay, this is what you need to be able to do. First, you need to be able to do like a little peanut roll, flip to flat back. We do this at our beginner levels. They do it in a tuck position, tuck to flat back, but then you want to get to a pike to flat back, intermediate, advanced, beginner type of stuff. Okay, then they want to be able to do a front pike to flat back. Pretty much anyone can do this. This is not really hard to learn at all, and this should be taught as early as possible. Pike open. That should just be like you want that as at the lowest level possible, the soonest introduction you can do to any sort of flipping. You want this. This is going to help you tremendously. We lift the arms up too high because it's going to be applied to the fly spring, but you could leave the arms down by your side if you want core tension and other things, but we lift the arms up as the legs open. We kind of, what I could term as putting on the brakes. Make your body long so it slows down rotation. Okay, so then we go to the floor. We want to be able to do a headstand and we want to shoot our hips and legs open into a bridge. Now, what's important about understanding this is that the hips need to travel past the head or the contact point on the floor. So the hips have to travel forwards past the contact point before we heel drive open into the bridge. If you notice, people who try to heel drive early will find a headstand and actually finish in a handstand position, in a headstand position, or they will heel drive even earlier and never make it over the vertical point. And so we want to push the hips over almost to like you're going to fall to your back and then heel drive as fast as you possibly can. It's very important to understand this timing because this is going to come in much, much later. And this principle that I'm just touching on is something you need to understand that actually applies to all front tumbling. You just do it earlier and earlier, the more advanced the front tumbling becomes. But the earlier you do it, the more power you have to put into the process. So we're laying on our back, we're doing like a little kip up. You're heel driving into the ground, right? Driving your legs into the ground while your hips, shoulders, head, arms are traveling up. So there's this relationship exchange of the lower half of your body's going down while the upper half of your body's going up. That's a front handspring or a fly spring. Well, oftentimes what we see though is as the lower body is coming down, the athlete is sitting up, which means the hips are traveling down also. We want the hips to go up as the legs are coming down. And so this teaches that feeling of getting the hips to rise while the feet are falling. Isn't that clever? It's so simple and straightforward, okay? Then we do a front headspring. Now, I want you to notice that picture in the front headspring position where the head's on the wedge and the hips are over the shoulders and over the head. That is key. You need to learn how to do that. That is super important because when you heel drive from that position, your legs will be driving into the ground, pulling your chest and hips to the ceiling. If you initiate the heel drive early, which is what you'll oftentimes see, it'll feel a lot slower. Of course it's going to be slower because if I open at the vertical point, I'm going to be too long and I will be slowing myself down. But if I roll and wait longer and then heel drive, I am no longer as tall, so my rotation can increase in speed because I'm passing through the vertical point, then heel driving. I'm not as tall. I'm rotating faster now. So early heel drive is going to slow things down. You're going to say, do more power. You actually don't. Most people can actually do a front headspring. They just open at the wrong place. I've actually tested this out extensively on my classes that I work with. We have the names of our classes are different than probably everyone else's. So if you just think this is like an advanced intermediate type of class to beginner or a beginner advanced recreational. So you're kind of between the intermediate advanced levels in recreational, you should be able to do this. This is fully achievable. So yeah, this is the key to unlocking everything. And I would go as far just to harp on this point for those that are newer to coaching. You want to make sure that every single kid who can do this before they can do a back handspring. So if you have athletes who are learning back handsprings before they can do this, I'm just going to tell you, you're setting yourself up for problems, because the coordination required to learn this, the timing, the information that is being processed through the brain, actually you will learn a back handspring faster because you've learned a front head spring first. Because what you need to know about the back handspring is where the down is and the up is, but that's going backwards. This teaches you where the down is and the up is, but it's going forwards. And so it creates the space inside the mind, connects all the neurons that says, hey, I know where down is, I know where up is, but I'm doing it forwards. I can also apply more power to it. So when you flip it around and try to go backwards, your brain actually has something to correlate to. That comes down later down the road of understanding how to correlate skills, use skills to teach skills, essentially. Okay, moving on. Dog drop, quad drop, whatever, dog drop, front handspring or fly spring, dog drop, fly spring. Just on a trampoline, just land on your hands and knees, then heel drive over. This forces you to leave your hands on the ground longer, trying to leave your hands on the ground as long as possible. This is kind of simulating a front layout or a front whip as well, but that's a very key component there is, can you do this? Okay, then you jump as high as you possibly can and you go into a fly spring. Now notice those kind of two extreme shapes. I got a pike position on the down, and then when the hands are on the ground, you're also in that crazy pike shape as well. I'm placing the hands and feet down at the same time, and I actually tell athletes to do this, students to do this. Jump as high as you possibly can. I want you to land with your hands and feet at the same time on the trampoline, because the reality is your feet are actually going to sink lower than where your hands make contact, essentially. And as your hands are going down, your legs are going to get launched up over your head. And so you're going to have this exchange relationship of down up. Now, you're not going to, if you're new to coaching and you've never taught a kaboom on a trampoline, you're not really going to understand the importance of this exchange of down up. But once you start learning how to teach kabooms on a trampoline, you really start to understand the importance of that exchange and how you want to use the surface to actually flip you, not use you to flip you. And so this is really leaning on the trampoline to do the flipping, and all you've got to do is shape change at the right time. Now notice that you're holding the pike position past the vertical point as long as you possibly can, and then you heel drive late. This prevents the chest from rising or sitting up. That classic, kid sits up too early. If you hold the pike over and you heel drive aggressively into the trampoline as hard as you possibly can, it's really hard to sit the chest up because of the way the hips are moving. You can't really force the hips to change direction. Oftentimes when kids sit up early in their fly springs or front hand springs, it's because they're just not heel driving fast enough. You heel drive fast enough, it's going to be hard. So I kind of look at it like, if I can sit up early, that sit up and where the kid sits up and they pike and then they sit it down because they're not letting their hips travel forwards. I don't tell kids to actually don't sit up so early, like leave your chest back. I don't say that at all. I would never say leave your chest back. And I learned this because I want to teach kids how to tumble effectively, not just follow directions because I said so. And so I feel that tumbling actually should feel more like you take a big stone at the top of a hill and you just let it go and it just rolls down the hill. You don't have to ask it to roll. It just does. And so what I've found is if I have to think about doing something correctly, then I'm probably doing something wrong. And what the wrong is that you're not heel driving fast enough into the ground. If you heel drive fast enough into the ground, you'll create so much force going through the lower half of your body. It will be hard to sit up early and pike because it will be pulling your chest to the ceiling as your feet are driving into the ground. And so that's the correlation, but that's what you need to do on a trampoline. This is this is probably one of the most important front tumbling drills out there, because this translates into a front whip and a front layout. Because once you learn how to jump as high as you possibly can and convert that up and down energy into the surface, that's front tumbling, and that's connections. You're going to figure that out later, but this is another key. So that front head spring down the wedge, this on a trampoline, those two things really unlock all of front tumbling. But let's move on. You go to a tumbling track, okay, you put your head on a mat, you heel drive up into a bridge, you tag your feet, and then you flat back. This teaches the student basically to touch your feet make contact with your feet, and then find straight. So we're not even trying to stand up. We just get to that pikey position, tag your feet so you're really fast with your feet tag, go to flat back. Then we try to do it from a fly spring position. I don't really care how the entry is. I just put them in a squat stand, but you could, jump, bounce, whatever you need to do. And you're just basically doing a fly spring, tag your feet, fall into your back. This again reinforces those that are moving slower not to sit your chest up early. They learn how to stay straight. This makes it a lot easier for kids to feel the lower half traveling forwards while the upper half is staying back, and they're not sitting their chest up early. So these are two nice little drills, but they're not, the end all be alls there. Then we go to a fly spring down the tumbling track, and you're just basically doing one without a pit cube between your feet, and the other one is put the pit cube between your feet. That makes a fun game because if they separate their legs, the pit cube goes flying. If they go loose, the pit cube's going to go flying. And so this is just focusing on squeezing into your body. Then we want to teach a fly spring going down across an 8-incher and then a forward roll out. The forward roll out can force a person to sit up early, but it's also going to expose problems like not waiting, not being fast enough. If you start introducing connections out of tumbling, especially when people are slow or making mistakes, the connection will actually tell them that they're not putting enough energy in the system because they can't even connect. And so oftentimes, instead of the athlete trying to make you happy because you're saying the correction, you're saying keep your chest back more, or keep your arms by your ears. If you just say do a forward roll out, it's going to expose all the problems that they're having, and they're going to naturally want to fix those problems so that they can make the next connection. Now here's the kicker right here is if you teach somebody how to front tuck, these are two simple really drills. You do a front tuck with a forward roll out. I found that front tuck, forward roll out is actually easier to learn than a front tuck land on your feet because oftentimes kids don't know what it feels like to over rotate, and they're more willing to commit with more power if they know how to control it. So we do front tuck, too much power, forward roll out. Now they can actually fully commit to the front tuck. They don't have to land it perfectly. I found kids could learn this faster than just landing on their feet isolated. Then we do a front tuck to a little peanut roll, bounce, forward roll. Now they're basically doing a front tuck, and you got forward energy motion. The important value of this is it's teaching energy to travel horizontally, and you can actually see if the energy is stopping. Because if the energy is traveling horizontally, then you're reinforcing that what is going to be needed for that fly spring or that front handspring on the floor, essentially, or front handspring connection on the floor, which is horizontal energy that is connected. So this is what front tumbling essentially is, and then you just change the shapes. Now, I did not show a front handspring with a kick, because if you can't do those things, I'm going to be fixing all those problems inside of the front handspring that has a kick involved. But if you can do all of those things, I don't need to teach anything in that front handspring. You'll just do it because you'll understand how to heel drive at the right time, how to let the hips travel over the contact point, and everything's going to solve itself. So that's what I'm teaching, and I'm teaching this because it's 2-foot takeoffs, then correlates to front tucks, front whips, front layouts, front fronts, and we're going to go into more. Because why would we just stop there, right? Because Raleigh, we got to see something and see if it actually is real. Okay, so let's just watch what's happening over here. Okay, you see anything that I just talked about or shared with you? Let's see this. There's a pike. Let's back it up. Okay, here we go. That's a pike right there. Do you see that pike? There's a pike contact with her foot right in front of her. Pike 90-degree angle. Okay, she's piking. That's 90-degree angle between her chest and her bottom leg. So that is the pike. Now you go, okay, she's kicking her leg. Yeah, so what? She's still got a giant pike inside of her. She's got a pike. Oh, now she's heel driving open. So look how far she's weighted to open up. And it's the top leg, not the bottom one that's kicking into the ground. Look at where she's initiating the heel drive open, okay? Now, is she early? I would say she was a little early. I'd say that everything was just a little bit too early. She didn't wait long enough. Had she waited even longer to heel drive down into the ground, her chest would have accelerated even faster. But she actually heel drived too early, and so that slowed her down. Look at the direction she's coming out. She didn't really turn over. This is not a good position to be in if I'm going to connect a front tumbling. This looks like she's falling backwards, not traveling forwards. So there, but now look what she has to do. She's got to get into the pike to accelerate rotation. She's going to use that pike. What does she do with that pike? Heel drive open. Is she heel driving past vertical? No, she's heel driving kind of early. Okay, nothing wrong with that if she had enough forward energy, but she doesn't. It kind of dies on itself. You can see how it just goes down. When you're doing connective tumbling, it wants to go flat, higher, highest. Okay, it needs to go up as you're skipping, like you're skipping stones up a river essentially. It can't go down, and this kind of goes down. It goes front layout starts high, front pike goes low, and so that's going to be a deduction right there. So that's how we know that she shape changed at the wrong time. She never fully opened her hips, did she? She never let her hips actually push to the ceiling. That's a front headspring problem. She didn't actually push her hips all the way open. If she would have done that, she wouldn't have landed so low, but there's the lowness in it. Okay, let's get over here to this young lady. What do we got going on? Boppity bop boop. Okay, so now we got some twisty twists happening. Here we have our pike. Look at it. There's the pike, just like a front headspring pike. Okay. She's heel driving pretty early. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. She's running fast enough. So she's heel driving pretty early. Okay. Feet are dropping. Chest is rising. Okay. Here she goes. She goes pretty high. Notice there is another pike involved. She's not doing a major pike, but there is another pike. She's coming from an arch. She found straight. She did a pike. Okay. It's a small pike, but she's still using it. And she's still using that pike to initiate the twist. Okay, very important to understand. I think she did a pretty good job on executing that decently well. Here we go. We'll watch this young lady go. Okay, so we got front lay, front lay. There's our pike right there. Same as the front headspring. Okay, it's just she's now heel driving earlier than the front headspring. And if you consider, like, if there was a wedge right where her hands are, is high enough, it'd be like, okay, she's just doing a front headspring up a wedge essentially, or up a surface. So all we're doing is just doing the same shape change, but everything's happening earlier, not later, because she's going up. If she were going down into the ground, it would be happening later because it needs to go down. And so it's just early. So she heel drives. I think she's still heel driving a little early. I don't think that landing position is the best. And that would show me that her second one kind of went a little lower, but it's not bad. It's not terrible. She doesn't, the bendiness that she has in her body, just like the bent knees and stuff like that she's in the air, tells me that she's just not literally running fast enough and shape changing aggressive. Like, she has more energy in the system she could give, and she's just not doing it. But again, it comes down to this pike. She's got a pike. She heel drives, opens. That's all the front headspring is. What does she come back into? A pike. There's her pike. And she heel drives open. Now, a hollow shape is just a smoothing out a pike shape. So I want you to think about, if you're going to try to hollow something, all you're really trying to do is smooth out the pike, but the pike is still there. You're not fooling anybody. Okay, let's watch this young lady. Okay, so let's see what she's got going on. And we can see it from a front handspring. So that's one reason why I'm showing this. There's her pike right there. Okay, pike. Okay, does she heel drive? You know, she heel drives pretty fast into the ground, but still I would say that she did not get her feet down fast enough to really pull her chest up. And so with that, I still think that there's a slight, she's picking her chest up, but I'd say she heel drives too early. Oh, this is the one we're going to see, I think, a slight problem on. Okay, so she doesn't really get to much pike. We're going to see that. Okay, she doesn't get to much pike. So let's watch what happens. Okay, it doesn't turn over, but that's not too bad. Oh, she folds it, and that's fine, but it's landing short. Okay, so the energy is dying. The energy died, and the energy got robbed because two things. Either she didn't run fast enough into her front handspring, which she could have. She could have put more horizontal energy in the system, and then she could stay straighter. If you want to stay straight, you have to have more energy in the system. The shape change makes up for the lack of energy in the system. So this is not bad, but she did not have enough energy coming out to carry through this front lay into her front twist. Now we can see that she's starting to pike her hips. Okay, that's starting to pike her hips. It's not a lot, but it's there. And she lands short because she doesn't have enough energy in the system. Okay, had she piked more, she could have compensated. If she was a front headspring person or understood the importance of piking, she could have compensated her mistake, but she did not. Okay, here's another athlete. There's the massive pike we have right there. Bottom legs on the ground, arms reaching. She's got the pike. Is she heel driving early? She's actually waiting a little bit longer. Okay, her hips have traveled over her hands and her top leg has not fully heel drived down. It still has somewhat of a pike in it. So she's actually weighted. It's pretty decent. She's at least up and down on foot contact. Okay, there's her pike. It's a little one. Then there's her heel drive. It's still happening pretty early. Nothing wrong with that. She's just got to run a lot faster if she's going to make it work. Notice how this one went down. Notice how the height of this one, where her head is, okay, compared to the height of this one. Notice how much higher her hips are. Her hips are at the blue mat. Where's her hips here? below the blue mat, below the beam. So it traveled down. Notice how it lands short. So she went high and then down because she doesn't know how to use the pike properly. Had she piked longer, waited a little bit longer to heel drive open on the first one, the second one would have turned out better. But it's not terrible. I'm just going to further prove this point of how important a pike is. We're going to watch this gentleman do his front double full. Okay, so this is what I want you to see. We're going to back it up for a second. Okay, this is a pike right here, even though he's hurdling. He's getting the feet in front. I know the video is bad, but that's what we get for the video. So the feet are in front. Okay, they make contact actually, yeah. And then he starts opening into his position. And so he's going to punch with a pike, but then he starts opening. You can still see that his hips are slightly piked a little bit with the twist. It's a bend. You might call it, like a hollow, but the hips are still piked. And then he's going into his punched front double full. So there's still a pike action happening. And that's the importance, I think, of understanding what is going on here is that front head spring with the pike action into the ground is really the key component to everything. Is you understand how to wait longer with that pike before you heel drive open it. That changes everything. If you want to pike less, you have to run faster. You need more energy in the system. That's as simple as it is. The shape change is repositioning you around your center of mass, essentially, based off of the rise and the fall. You don't need to know all of that. Follow the steps, go through those things, and fix it. Now, if you're getting newer to coaching, you don't have the discipline, the self-control to really get something really, really, really good before you move on. Skills build into skills. So you go to that front head spring and you actually get it with energy, not some weak, sloppy front head spring. You're like, well, I did it, Raleigh. But you actually get something with energy. You can skip a lot of the steps I just showed and go right into other skills. The jump as high as you possibly can, front handspring. On the trampoline is a good skill to get. The going to the tumbling track and doing the front pike open to flat back, doing front tuck, using skills to get skills. And that's not a lot of steps. I mean, I'm going to go back to this real fast because I know that what we can do is, let me pull this back up real fast because I just want you to see something. So like, do I actually need that? I mean, it's good. You need to know how to shape change fast enough before gravity hits. So can I shape change fast enough before gravity hits? That's the only question. And can you do it tight? Sure. Okay, great. Move on. Do I need this? No, not really. Do you need this? No, not really. But these two things kind of help you understand where you are. But whatever. You need this. Guaranteed you need this. This is going to change a lot. So take this. You need this. Do I need this? Not really. Do you need this? This is going to be helpful because you can do this and then say, don't put your hands on the ground. Now it's a front whip. Then you can say, just take it up higher. Now it's a front lay. So this is a drill that converts a fly spring into a front whip into a front lay. Boom. Easy. And the jumping high teaches kids how to convert their energy, max energy, without the run being horizontally as fast as they can. They can jump as high as they possibly can and change their downward trajectory into forward. So they learn how to convert energy. So it's really good. Do you need these? Not really. You could get away with those. If you had a front head spring down the wedge, you don't need these. Do you need this? No, you could just basically just do a front head spring. If you can do that front head spring down the wedge, then you could probably, and the trampoline drill, you could just do a fly spring. Do you need that? No, not really. Do you need this? You definitely need to get a front. Front is super important. And so if you can do front head spring, do the trampoline drill, jump as high as you possibly can, go into a fly spring, and you can do a front or a front tuck to peanut roll. I mean, you're really putting in the energy and the effort that you need to be able to go farther. And so then it's not a lot of steps. It's just get better at the thing. And this will be the last point I'll harp on for you that are trying to figure out your way is it's an effort problem. It's an effort problem. It's not a technique problem. Okay. Yes, technique is important. You need to know when and where to do things. I get that. So yes, you do need to know when and where to do things. But majority of the problem is that people don't put in enough effort at the when and where. So you can tell them when and where all you want to. You can tell them, make sure you keep your arms by your ears. But if they don't put in the effort into the skill, it still won't work. And so, yes, we want to use technique, but we need to start with the appropriate amount of effort required to actually make the skill successful. And if we can start there, then the skills are learned a lot faster, and we can correlate from skill to skill so that the steps are not that many. It's not a lot. Do I need to get a front handspring on floor? Well, I'll tell you this. If you can do the things that I just showed you, then going to floor and doing a front handspring, you don't really learn it, you just do it. And there's a difference between learning and doing. And you want to be able to, if you want to move fast enough so that you can actually get to high level tumbling, take kids and actually find success with them on learning things, you want to do gymnastics, not learn gymnastics. And what I mean by that is you learn the underlying core component. You do that really, really, really well, and then you just apply it to other areas and just do gymnastics. And so that's why I pointed out on that front headspring. Front headspring down a wedge, you can go do a lot of gymnastics once you have that. It's not hard. You go do that trampoline drill, you get that figured out, and you can just do gymnastics. Front handsprings on floor, I don't ever teach front handsprings on floor. We just do them, because there's nothing really more to learn. Even connecting front handsprings, when you get comfortable understanding how to pike and then open, and how piking actually increases your rotation, and that becomes your point of comfort, athletes will just naturally want to pike more when they feel that they're not rotating fast enough. And then if max effort is part of your point of safety and comfortability, then they'll also put in more energy and effort when they feel like they're not making that rotation either. And so those become natural reactions and responses to their own mistakes. And so that solves a lot of it. So there you have front handsprings. Thanks for watching my video. If you have thoughts, comments, again, like, subscribe, great. If you want me to make a video on something, let me know. Other than that, have a blessed day. Until next time.